While the 98% of the population is busy celebrating a headline inflation print of 2.4% as if the battle is won, the 2% club is looking at a far more chilling number. That number is 59%. That is the percentage jump in completed bank repossessions hitting middle-class families in the last month alone. We aren't seeing the soft landing promised by the mainstream media. We are witnessing a quiet, brutal liquidation of the middle class. Gold has shattered the $5,000 psychological barrier. The US national debt is screaming towards $39 trillion. And for those of us who have spent decades watching these cycles, the warning lights are no longer just flickering. They are solid red. Welcome to Money and Power. It's been an incredibly heavy week for me personally. My mother passed away this week, and it has given me a lot of time to reflect on what really matters: integrity, truth, and the importance of being prepared for the storms we cannot control. I've spent 45 years in the world of business and finance, and if that career has taught me anything, it's that when the crowd is looking left, the real danger is usually coming from the right. I'm on a mission to ensure you aren't caught off guard. I'm not here to give you financial advice or tell you what to buy. I'm here to provide the common sense and the raw data that the 98% simply refuse to acknowledge. We stay calm while others panic, but we only stay calm because we see the move before it happens. Let's therefore look at the reality of the current market. This week we saw gold showing strength, holding above $5,000 even as the dollar tried to flex its muscles. For years I've told you that gold is the ultimate barometer of truth in an age of lies. When debt is rampant and the dollar is being debased, gold doesn't just go up, it speaks. But there is a massive divergence happening. While gold is soaring, silver is retracing, sitting around the $77 mark. This disconnect is being driven by what I call the Warsh shock. The nomination of Kevin Warsh to lead the Federal Reserve has sent a lightning bolt through the system. Warsh is a man who understands the liquidation effect. He is signaling a return to what he calls a monetary barbell. Lower rates to drive productivity, but a brutal reduction in the Fed's balance sheet. The 98% hear lower rates and think easy money. They're wrong. Warsh is preparing to drain the swamp of excess liquidity. And the more speculative assets like silver are already sensing that the era of funny money is coming to a close. This brings us to the most staggering number in the room, the debt. The US national debt has officially crossed the $38.5 trillion mark. To put that in perspective, we're adding $8 billion to that pile every single day. That's nearly $100,000 per second. We've reached a point of no return, where the interest on this debt is now costing over $1 trillion a year. This isn't just a number on a spreadsheet. This is a weight that is crushing the life out of the productive economy. Now, this week's jobs report claimed we added 130,000 jobs. But when you look under the hood, the private sector is essentially frozen. Almost all the gains were in government-funded roles or healthcare. The engine of the middle class has stalled, and the government is trying to hide it by hiring more people to manage the decline. Now, I want to talk specifically about the repossession crisis because this is something the mainstream news is almost entirely ignoring. You may have noticed the number of for sale signs or seen quiet activity in your own neighborhoods. And I can confirm that your instincts are correct. In January, completed foreclosures and bank repossessions increased by 59% year over year. This is not a low-income problem. This is focused squarely on the lower middle class. The families who did everything right, but simply cannot outrun the reality of 22% interest rates on their credit cards. We've reached a record $1.28 trillion in personal credit card debt in America, and over 60% of people have been carrying that balance for more than a year. They aren't spending any more. They are surviving on high interest air, and the bank is finally coming for the collateral. This is happening in Florida, in Nevada, in Delaware, and it is spreading across Europe and the United Kingdom as well. In the UK, individual insolvencies are up nearly 15%. This is the liquidation in real time. While the middle class is being squeezed, we're seeing a strange recovery in the dark social assets. Bitcoin has clawed its way back towards the $74,000 range after a massive 50% wipeout. The 98% panicked during that drop, but the 2% recognized it for what it was, a cleansing of the speculative froth. With institutional money pouring in through ETFs at a rate of $15 million a day, the ownership of these assets is shifting from the retail gambler to the institutional accumulator. The question you have to ask yourself is, why are they buying while the average person is being forced to sell? Well, look at the dollar index, the DXY. It's dipped below 97. And don't let that fool you into thinking the dollar is dying just yet. The global power dynamic is shifting under the new Board of Peace and the threats of massive tariffs. We are moving towards a world of protectionism where the dollar will be used as a weapon to force other nations into line. If the US moves to bypass traditional global forums like the United Nations, we are going to see volatility in the currency markets that hasn't been witnessed since the 1970s. For the coming week, you must watch the dollar's support level. If it breaks, gold could be at $5,500 before the month is out. If it holds, we may see a massive squeeze on everyone who's been betting against it. So what does all of this foreshadow for next week? Well, first, watch the bond auctions. If the market decides that 38.5 trillion is the limit for the US debt, yields will spike and the cost of borrowing for you and me will become unbearable overnight. Second, keep a close eye on the gold to silver ratio. Gold is running, but silver is lagging behind. Historically, this gap is a spring that eventually snaps back with incredible force. I'll be releasing a dedicated video on the gold to silver ratio later this coming week, because it is the single most important signal for your portfolio right now. And third, recognize that 50% of the growth on this channel is coming from people sharing these videos on WhatsApp and SMS. That tells me that the 2% club is growing, that there are people like you who are tired of the hype and are looking for a voice of reason. Because so many of you are finding me through Gmail, I am moving forward with the newsletter so that I can get this data to you even faster, bypassing the gatekeepers. After 45 years in this industry, I've seen many people lose everything because they believed the soft landing fairy tale. I'm on a mission to make sure that doesn't happen to you. We don't panic when we see these numbers, we prepare. We understand that debt is the chain used to keep the 98% in place. If you're carrying high interest debt into this liquidation cycle, you are the prey. My goal is to help you become the hunter. Thank you for your incredible support and your kind messages this week. It means more than I can express. Please share this video with one person who's still listening to the mainstream narrative. Tell them to stay calm. Tell them to look at the data. Tell them to stay in the 2% club. I would also be grateful if you would also advise them to look at the videos appearing on the screen now, and for you to do so if you haven't already had an opportunity to do so. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.